Live across North Texas and beyond, this is the Jenna Ryan Show.
Ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Little pink houses for you.
Jenna Ryan is a world-renowned speaker and thought leader, ranked in the 87th most influential person online by Fast Company magazine. Jenna Ryan has spoken to thousands around the world and is now speaking to you. So with all things real estate and beyond, here is Jenna Ryan.
Hello, everyone. This is Jenna. How are you this new year? Happy New Year, everyone. 2017, we made it. We made it, and time keeps ticking, isn't it? And it's going by quickly, so we better take advantage of everything we can right now. Today, I am on the air, and we are talking to attorney Kyle Basinger.
Good morning.
Good morning. He's with Basinger Leggett, and we're going to get to learn a lot about him and his divorce practice. We're also talking with a regular on the show, Angela Deaton. She is a loan officer with Prime Lending, and she's going to help us. We're going to really get into the topics of divorce today, divorce and real estate. But first, we're going to get into a little bit of news. Some of the news that I found particularly interesting in this past couple of weeks is the fact that Carrie Fisher from Star Wars passed away, which is a very sad thing. And then her mother the very next day, which is just, very sad that we had so many people pass away in 2016. So many, incredible musicians and actors and Prince and, George Michael. My goodness, it was quite the year for people passing away. But anyway, I thought it was quite interesting. And my guests here didn't even know that Carrie Fisher was buried in a Prozac urn. Don't y'all find that interesting?
I'm trying to picture an urn shaped like a Prozac pill.
Well, I actually saw a photo of the urn, and it is literally a Prozac pill. It looks like a gigantic Prozac pill, and I guess she thought that was, or her daughter Billy, who is now the carrier of the legacy.
So she thought that was fitting to have her mother in a Prozac pill.
Yes, these.
I think I need to give more direction to my children.
Yes. Don't let them pay attention to Hollywood because what's going on is nuts. But I just thought that was so interesting. And I'm like, wow, very interesting. So anyway, it's freezing cold. How many people are cold? Raise your hand.
I'm cold.
We're cold. When we go outside, it's chilly out there. And but I think it's supposed to warm up on Monday. And then it's supposed to also get a little, it's going to be cold and drizzly and things like that.
Tuesday's going to be 75.
Say that again?
Tuesday's going to be 75.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
75 on Tuesday.
Oh, it is? Okay.
You
Wow.
wonder why everyone's sick.
Yeah, I know. It's like
18 to 75. in
load
2
up
days.
on the vitamin C. You guys, we're also live on Facebook at jenna.ryan1. If you guys want to see us live, we're right here on Facebook. And we get lots of viewers on Facebook, and it's just the coolest conglomeration. We've got radio going on, you people at home who are listening, and I appreciate you for listening. But we're also live on Facebook, which is kind of cool. So we also have coming up the inauguration, which is coming up on the 20th, which we're going to get a passing of the guard. And we're not going to really get into that because we don't,
Good idea.
Don't you think?
Good idea.
But we do want to say, we are having an inauguration. There's nothing, anybody can do about that. So, but that's where we're heading. And we are getting into the topic today of divorce. Divorce, which nobody really wants. That's not really a fun topic. Well, it's a fun topic for us because, we get to talk about real estate and divorce. But it's not anything that you want to have happen, but it's a fact of life. I'm not sure. What is the latest statistics, Kyle? How many marriages end in divorce?
Well, right now it's approximately one half.
One
And
half.
It is one half.
One
And
half.
I don't know how they're counting those that are double or triple or quadruple divorces.
Exactly. Some people are getting.
I don't know if they double count them or not.
I doubt
But
it.
it's very, very common.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. So, from what I understand, Texas is a community property state.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So, what does that mean exactly?
Basically, community property is a set of laws that govern how we see property in the state of Texas.
Okay.
Texas is one of 9 states that are community property states. So Texas is not the only one.
Okay.
Basically, if you're trying to figure out where those states are, you start with Louisiana,
Okay.
where I'm from. You go all the way through Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, head on up to California, Nevada, Washington, one more, and there's also Wisconsin. Wisconsin's there not because of their heritage,
Right.
but because they figured that community property was a fair set of laws for their citizens. But
Okay.
basically, we're community property because that was what we inherited from. It's based on Spanish law,
Oh.
a la Mexico.
Okay, well here's why I need to know what community property is, because a lot of times whenever people go to sell their house, you can't just sell a house. If you're married, you have to both parties have to be on all the documentation.
Correct.
Right? So that
Correct.
means basically if your community property state that if you're married, the property belongs to both of you.
Correct. The way that we look at it in Texas is community property is jointly held, which means many people think it's 50% one party's, 50% the other, and it's not. It's 100% one party's and 100% the others.
Interesting.
You jointly own it. It's an unsevered whole.
Okay. Okay. So you jointly own the property
Correct.
unless the property was owned prior to the marriage in some cases.
Basically, the way you should look at it is that anything you bring in the marriage is going to be your separate property.
Okay.
Anything you receive by gift is your separate property.
Okay.
And those are the 2 most common exceptions to the community property rule.
Okay. Very interesting to know. And so, how is property divided in the divorce process?
Well, in the state of Texas, it is people think that it's automatically a 50-50. There are some states, such as my understanding of California law,
Right.
mandates it, a 50-50. Texas does not. Texas is an equitable distribution state, which means that the court looks at all the circumstances and decides where that line is going to be drawn. And
Okay.
it could be 50-50, but it could be 60-40.
Okay.
The largest division I've ever had in my own practice was a 90-10.
Wow.
Which is, yeah, that's kind of what the husband said too.
Right.
But it was a 90-10 split, but there were special circumstances that justified that.
So let me ask you, if you are getting a divorce and you cheated on your husband or wife,
Right.
will the judge award you less property?
Not necessarily, but because fault in the break of the marriage is only one of the factors that the court can look at.
Okay.
And the court's
Isn't
also
Texas a no-fault state?
well, all no fault means is that you're not required to show fault
Okay.
in order to get a divorce.
would have
That
heard
doesn't
that,
mean
but I
you
wasn't
can't
sure
show
what it meant.
fault.
Okay.
It means you're not required to show fault. States that require fault,
California.
I think California's no fault too.
Oh.
But there are other states that specifically require fault, which means you cannot get a divorce
Whoa.
unless you show fault.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's backwards. Man, we'd be in trouble around here. We'd have a lot of people stuck in. You guys, the phone lines are open. If you have any questions about divorce, real estate, mortgage, things like that, give us a call at 214-787-1190. We're having a very interesting conversation today regarding divorce and property. And if you guys have questions, you can even print them on the live Facebook feed here, and we will read them, and we will answer your questions there as well. We're talking about how you're awarded your property during a divorce, and if you have any questions about that, give us a call. So that is very interesting that who gets to keep the property.
a couple other things that a court looks at that is very important is the size of the estate as well.
The size of the estate.
The size of the estate can also have an effect on how the court is going to divide it.
Okay.
And if and something else is what is the income of the 2 parties?
Really?
And so the income of the two parties can also make a difference. So in other words, if one of the parties makes $10,000 a year,
Right.
and the other party makes $500,000 a year, the
Right.
court will certainly consider that and how
Right.
to divide the marital estate.
Okay, so the court considers how much money you make. Like if you make more money, if you don't make enough money, then you can't afford the property, and so you can't be awarded it.
Well, that's a different issue, and that's kind of those practical issues that you, let's say you make $10,000 a year and you have $1 million house.
Right.
Well, could the court award the $1 million house to the party that makes $10,000 a year? Absolutely. But on the other hand, you have practical considerations, like how
Right.
is that party going to be able to afford the home?
So really, you need to sell. The key.
Well, that's one option.
One of the options.
That's
Well,
one
I
option.
think you should sell, and you should use Jenna Ryan Realtor.
Or
And
you
then-
could refinance.
No, we don't want you doing that. You sell, and then you sell it, and both of y'all go buy a house, and you use me,
Yeah,
and
that's
and
right.
we
Transaction.
and all problems solved.
I'm caught between a conflict here. I've got one that wants to refinance, the other wants to sell. So
No, I'm teasing. Whatever is best for you. But if you want to sell, you can always call Jenna Ryan and email me at jennaryanrealty@gmail.com. We're going to break, and we're going to be back talking with Angela Deaton and Kyle Basinger about divorce and property. So you guys call in 214-787-1190.
There's a black man with a black cat living in a black neighborhood. He's got an interstate running through his front yard,
Hello, Coach Gary, inviting you to Sports Talk Sunday night 6 to 7. Join me with my new co-host, Warren Shore, the Whiz Kid. We'll do what we do best, talk sports. Join me, the Whiz Kid, and Ben every Sunday night 6 to 7 on 1190, the station that knows talk.
It's a new year, so how's it looking? Are you set for more money and a better life in 2017? Or will you just go through 12 more months in the same old rut with the same old results? Now, if you're feeling stuck, check out My Computer Career, the IT school where you can start your new life as an information technology pro in as little as 3 months, even with no IT experience. Attend classes on campus in Dallas, Arlington, or live online to get the skills and certifications you'll need to start your new career. Plus, they'll help you get hired and advance with Lifetime Career Services. Lifetime. Now, if you're thinking, is this for real? Check it out. My Computer Career helped over 1,000 students start new IT jobs nationally last year. You can join them. Just go to mycomputercareer.edu, take the free career evaluation. And by the way, financial aid is available for those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Classes start soon, so make New Year, New Career your resolution and take the free career evaluation today at mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
I had like memory foams, I had feather pillows, and I'd always wake up with neck pain. After sleeping on my pillow, I didn't wake up with the headaches. I was more aligned.
I didn't realize the connection between the pillow and sleep. When I switched to my pillow, I got a better night's sleep, and I love it.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it holds that support all night long to take the pressure off your shoulders and keep your neck aligned so you get the best night's sleep of your life.
MyPillow is the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. MyPillow is machine washable and dryable and comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee and an amazing 10-year warranty. Plus, every MyPillow is made in the USA.
I personally guarantee that MyPillow will be the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own. Go to MyPillow.com or call now to order one of my pillows. When you do, I'll give you a second one absolutely free.
Call 1-800-480-1941 and use the promo code IHEART.
Mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 58 years old.
8 years into the disease was when all the light went out.
For me, it was heart-wrenching.
Looking into the eyes of somebody with Alzheimer's, sometimes you just don't see the person's soul is like gone.
And it takes a toll on everyone. I mean, it's a depressing disease to watch unfold before your eyes.
She actually thought those of us who were caring for her and who loved her most were her worst enemies.
More and more responsibilities fell on my shoulders.
This disease just ravages a family.
It changes your life.
The magnitude of it is indescribable. My mother taught me to be in the moment.
We have to live in the moment with them.
And I'm going to be with that person right now in this moment, wherever she is. Now is the moment to stop Alzheimer's disease. Call Bright Focus at 855-345-6237.
The phone lines are open at 214-787-1190. Here's Jenna Ryan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm here today with Kyle Basinger. He is a law partner at Basinger Leggett, and he specializes in family law. And today we are discussing divorce in real estate, and how divorce impacts your ownership of real estate. And we have a question. Thank you, Gina, for your question online. I'm going to go ahead and read it. She says, I was awarded the house in my divorce. However, I was supposed to refinance this past August and was unable to. Was wanting to sell the house. Could he still get half of the proceeds from selling if I don't refinance in my name? Kyle.
Yeah, Gina, that's a good question. I'm assuming from the question that you've written that in the divorce you were awarded 100% of the proceeds of the house, or 100% ownership of the house. If that's correct, even if you were unable to refinance, once you sell the house, you should get 100% of the proceeds because you're the owner of the house.
Okay. So she should get 100% of the proceeds. Hopefully that makes sense. And if anyone else has any more questions, just give us a call at 214-787-1190. Okay, so can a divorced couple, basically what you're saying is that a divorced couple can both own a house.
Correct.
At the same time.
Correct.
And then you can sell it later, and then you have to pay that person.
Yeah, a lot of times that happens when you have children and the parties want the children to stay in the same home, but one of the parties cannot afford the house on their own. They can continue owning the home after, and usually in the divorce decree you'll state the triggering condition to sell the home, and it may be once the last child leaves the home, for instance.
Wow, that's interesting. So you can stay really attached to that person even though you're divorced.
Correct.
So who generally gets to keep the house?
There is no generally.
Really?
Because the court's got to look at who can afford the house. That's obviously going to be one of the issues. But one of the other issues is that if you have a child or you have children, a lot of times you don't want to disrupt them.
Right.
So in that particular case, it may make sense for the couple to keep the children in the house they've been growing up in.
Okay. So sometimes that makes sense.
There's no rule.
No. Okay.
No rule.
Very interesting. Okay, and Angela, can you please help us? What do we do if how does a divorce affect the mortgage?
So in terms of buying a new home, how would it affect?
Right.
Okay. So and this is something that people get confused on a lot. If a divorced couple, if they are getting a divorce and they both intend to go buy separate properties, their divorce needs to be final, or else they're going to have to sign on each other's new homes.
Oh,
so
okay.
If they filed but they're not final yet, then that spouse, because of the community property law that we just talked about, is going to have to sign that deed of trust.
Okay.
And they can, sign a quitclaim deed to take them off, and that's usually part of the divorce process. But it's something that surprises people a lot when they go, and then I say, oh, well, your soon-to-be ex is going to have to come, to the closing and sign.
Yeah.
Say, what? He's not. This isn't his house. He has no part in this. But that is something that we have to do.
Okay. And from what I understand, just because someone is not on just because you're awarded the home doesn't mean your husband is off the mortgage.
Correct.
Or wife.
Correct. So, like in this situation with the Jean, I believe it was, that called in with the question. In her situation, because she was unable to refinance, he is still on that note, and he is still legally obligated to make those payments from a mortgage company's perspective. The court, of course, in the decree has probably said she's responsible for the payments.
Right.
But from a credit report standpoint, that's on his credit report. So if she were to just stop making payments completely, that would impact his credit. He could be involved in a foreclosure, a short sale, whatever the case that is, regardless of the fact that the divorce decree awarded her the property and the obligation to pay it. If she doesn't, his credit is going to be affected as every bit as much as hers is.
Okay, so basically what we're saying is that you really need to make sure that you dissolve the property, that you dissolve your ownership. You either need to refinance or you need to sell the property in order to get out of the situation.
You know, the issue that you brought up is something that we deal with frequently.
Really?
And that is there is a misperception that if in the divorce decree a party is ordered to take a debt, and it may not just be the mortgage, it could be a credit card, for instance.
Okay.
And what one of the parties generally thinks then is that the credit card company or the mortgage company has to abide by the decree of divorce.
Right.
And the decree of divorce does not affect third-party creditors.
Oh.
The only thing it affects is the relationship between the two parties.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. Wonderful. Well, we've got a caller, and
it's Ted on the line. He's got a comment about Texas being a right-to-own state.
Okay, wonderful. Ted? Hi, Ted.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ted.
Hey, just listening to you guys, I think you're awesome.
Thank you.
Listen, but guys, isn't Texas a community property state, meaning that most property acquired during marriage belongs to both spouses and must be divided at divorce, in contrast with each spouse getting to keep his or her own, separate property when the marriage ends?
Okay.
That's a great question.
I'm not certain I understand the question, but it is a community property state, and there is a presumption that every piece of property owned is community property.
Oh.
In order to overcome that presumption, you have to show by clear and convincing evidence that the asset that you want to call separate property is actually separate property.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question?
Well, sure, yeah. And what if I just did the divorce, just said, look, you can have the house, you can have everything, but then call her back an hour later and say, look, I'm just kidding. Can I have it back? No, I'm just joking around. I changed my mind. No, seriously, it's one of those things where you get down to legalities and, people start dividing, this from that and being a house being, one of the, I guess, one of the most second things you own in life that's besides your life itself.
Right.
Your house is a big deal. And the old boy looks up and he's homeless suddenly, and his wife's over there laughing in the corner. I got the house.
Right.
So being Texas, being that community state, it's just a question that I wanted to raise, and I think it's interesting how that all comes out, in the courts, and it seems like the judges always lean toward the custodial parent or the woman. Let's go ahead and face it in some cases. But I think, in fairness, it's something that ought to be looked at.
Well, I in my experience, I don't find that the courts lean toward one or the other.
You don't?
I don't. I hear that. I hear that frequently. That there may be a bias toward one sex or the other. Generally, the men think there's a bias toward women, and generally the women think there's a bias toward the men.
Really?
But especially in the counties that I operate in
Collin County,
Denton, Dallas, Tarrant, I don't see that there's a bias with the courts. Now,
really?
I will tell you that generally, I mean, if you're probably adding up all of the child custody cases, I think generally you're going to find that there may be more women that wind up with primary, but I don't think it's because of the bias in the system.
Okay.
I think it is many of us, once we enter into a marriage, I've been married 36 years.
Mary Jo, yes.
Yeah, Mary Jo.
Uh-huh.
And once you're married, you have a tendency to assume certain roles.
Right.
And many of those roles just continue after the divorce as well. And so if the woman was a primary caretaker, it could have been the man that was a primary caretaker.
Right.
But whoever the primary caretaker was, in all likelihood, will continue that role even after the divorce.
Right. Does that answer your question, Ted?
Well, it answers my question. It gives me a little more light to the subject. But, it's a typical thing where, you get that the emotions involved and the guy says, hey, take the whole thing. Take the house, take everything, and wake up the next morning and say, what have I done? Oh, my God. But, you signed away the world. But, no, it brings up a very good point, and something I think that people ought to really consider when they're going through a divorce and, be very careful about that. And not sign away their life and their house.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why in Texas we have a cooling off period, and so you want to use that cooling off period to make sure that you are actually wanting to go through the divorce, but it gives you a little time to get past some of the emotion and be able to look at it.
What is that cooling off period? What does that mean?
Basically, if two parties, let's say they want to get divorced, and they decide, well, we're going to file. The next day, you can't go get a divorce. There's a period that has to pass in order to, but before there can be a
Isn't it 60
divorce.
days, or has that
Yes.
changed? Okay.
Yes, that's very interesting. For those of you who don't know, I used to work for Kyle Basinger years ago in my 20s.
Years
ago.
ago.
I went to paralegal school, and I got out, and I went, and I was his legal assistant. And so I know.
She is the fastest typer that I have ever witnessed.
Really?
Wow. I mean, whenever you watched her type up pleadings, I'm not kidding. It sounded like automatic gunfire.
I forgot about that.
Typer.
Oh,
I was a fast typer, and now I sell your house fast. I will sell your house fast.
Nice.
Just a different skill set, yeah.
Right. It all comes together. Ted, thank you so much for calling today. We really appreciate you
my buddy
listening.
Ron Taylor says hello, too. So good morning to you guys, and have a great day. Thanks for taking me on the air.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful.
Okay.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. That was wonderful working with you. And doing all that work and learning about all the custody and the property. And you're a really great attorney.
Oh, thank you. And you were very difficult to replace, I have to say.
Oh, well, thank you.
I had about 3 misfires after you.
Oh, how sweet. That's so sweet of you. Yes, I love doing the legal stuff. So we're going to go into break, and then we're going to come back, and we're taking your calls at 214-787-1190. And we would love to hear more questions. You can watch us live on Facebook Live, or you can call in and ask questions. We've got an attorney right here if you've got questions about divorce.
He's got an interstate running through his front yard. You know, he thinks he's
Free Talk Live. That's essentially what the IRS does. They write a bunch of strangers, people they don't know, an invoice, and they include a bunch of obscure instructions that you're supposed to understand. And then at the very bottom it says, if you don't follow these instructions to the T, we are going to charge you with a criminal offense and throw you in the clink. This is a threat, and I don't take kindly to threats. I don't know about you.
Catch Free Talk Live Monday through Sunday, midnight to 3 a.m. on Talk Radio 1190.
Hi, I'm David Bellman, inventor of the Aquasonic Wave Jewelry Cleaner. We wear our jewelry every day. But can you remember the last time you cleaned your jewelry? You wouldn't wear the same clothes day after day and never clean them. Yet jewelry sits on our hands, gathering up harmful bacteria loads testing 3 times greater than that found on a public toilet seat. It's time to get that nasty toilet seat off your finger and buy my Aquasonic Wave Jewelry Cleaner. The Aquasonic Wave will remove all of that disgusting bacteria on your jewelry and give you professional jewelry cleaning results the best you've ever seen. Your jewelry will be bright, shiny and brilliant, just like the day you bought them. No scrubbing, no mess, just fresh, clean, sanitized jewelry right in the convenience of your own home. So get that nasty toilet seat off your finger and clean it with the Aquasonic Wave Jewelry Cleaner today.
The Aquasonic Wave is a fantastic gift. Order yours now at aquasonicwave.com. Enter promo code iHeart and receive free shipping, plus an extra 6-week supply of antibacterial hydrogel. That's aquasonicwave.com. Promo code iHeart.
Small business owners, here's a thought. Just about half of all consumers are listening to AM/FM radio right before walking into a store. Think about that. That means the last thing they hear on iHeartRadio could be a commercial for your small business right before they reach for their wallets. Interested in getting your share? Call 844-BUY-RADIO and find out how.
I was facing foreclosure. I was desperate for help.
I paid them $1,500 and never got the help they promised.
Don't let the fear of losing your home make you the victim of a loan modification scam. Remember these facts to protect yourself. It's illegal for most companies to charge fees in advance, no matter how small. No company can guarantee they can modify your loan or stop a foreclosure. And never send your mortgage payment to anyone but your lender. The easiest way to avoid a scam? Don't pay for a loan modification. Get free help from a HUD-approved counseling agency now. To learn more, report a scam, or find out if you've been a victim, call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit loanscamalert.org. That's 1-888-995-4673 and loanscamalert.org.
Know the signs. Get the facts.
Little pink houses for you.
Welcome back to the Jenna Ryan Show on Talk Radio 1190 AM.
Welcome back to the show. We are having a very interesting conversation today regarding divorce and real estate. And we are taking your calls at 214-787-1190. I'm here today with Kyle Basinger. He is a Basinger Leggett in Plano, Texas. He is a divorce attorney specializing in divorce, property issues, child custody issues, adoptions. He has a whole entire firm. Yes, he has 12 attorneys under him, and I've known him for years, since my 20s. And we also have the lovely Angela Deaton here today, and she's going to help us regarding questions regarding divorce and mortgages and refinancing your home after a divorce. And we would like to take your questions, so definitely call in at 214-787-1190. We're live on Facebook at jenna.ryan1. You can come online and watch us live. So glad to have you here today. We're going to get right into our subject here. And the next question I have for Kyle is, what is collaborative law?
Collaborative law is a alternative means of resolving disputes in a family law or even some type of civil dispute. It has been in Texas for a number of years, and basically what collaborative law is it is a means of privately working out the disputes.
Okay.
And so what happens then is each party will retain a collaborative lawyer that is trained in collaborative law.
Okay.
Then normally the two attorneys then will speak, and they will set up what is known as a team. And the team is usually a mental health professional who's trained in collaborative law and a financial professional that's trained in collaborative law. It's a very holistic approach to resolving what may be a divorce or some other type of dispute.
Like arbitration or mediation?
Those are other alternative means of resolving disputes. In collaborative law, what happens then is once the team is put together, the parties meet in what are, in essence, board meetings.
Okay.
And everybody is around the table.
Interesting.
And then you have an agenda, and you go through the agenda item by item until all the issues are worked out. Normally you have no more than a 2-hour meeting per time.
Okay.
And the financial professional can meet with the parties offline with just the financial professional, the two parties, the mental health professional, which usually handles issues regarding children, and will usually, in essence, chair the meeting.
Okay.
And then the parties will sign a collaborative law participation agreement. That is filed with the court, and then the court takes a case off the active docket. And puts it into a specialized area and leaves you alone for up to a couple of years in order to work things out.
Wow. This is a new thing. We didn't have this 20 years ago.
We did not have that when you worked with me. Yeah. It was it's a fascinating area, and many people like it because of the privacy.
Right.
And also because it allows the parties to be able to work it out and not turn their lives over to the courts.
Well, is there as much fighting going on as there always has been? I mean, in collaborative laws, do you still have fights?
You can still have fights in collaborative law, but there's a means of controlling the fighting.
Okay.
And that's why you had the mental health professional that is there.
Oh.
It is a great way to resolve disputes, but you have to make sure you're using an attorney that is collaboratively trained.
Wow. So there's a special training involved. Okay. What is the difference between mediation and collaborative law?
Okay. And I'll tell you, I'm going to approach this from a family law divorce standpoint because civil people do it a little bit differently. But basically what we do in mediation, you're going to have the parties in different rooms.
Okay.
And you're going to have the mediator is going to go back and forth.
Right.
In order to resolve the dispute.
Okay.
And they'll continue going back and forth until all the issues are resolved. The mediated settlement agreement will be signed.
Okay.
It'll be filed with the court, and it's fully enforceable. You can't change your mind at that point.
Oh.
Now, in collaborative is different. What you do with collaborative law is you can come up with interim agreements along the way, but
Okay.
everybody's in the same room.
Interesting.
Now, if you don't come up with an agreement in mediation, then you just simply try the case.
Okay.
It got to go to trial. If you don't resolve the issue in collaborative, then the parties do what is called opting out. They have to fire their attorneys and get brand new attorneys, and you got to
Whoa.
start from scratch.
So that could be a detriment to doing the collaborative.
It could be huge, and that is why some people object to collaborative law, because
Right.
it is such a some people consider it draconian to have to start all over again.
Right.
But for me, it just gives the parties additional incentive to stay in the process until they work it out, because the result of having to start over is can be so difficult and expensive.
Yeah, and do they still have depositions or anything like that? Or is it still litigated?
You can in collaborative law, but it's not normally done. It's
Okay.
possible, and I've never had a collaborative case where a party was deposed.
Huh.
It's usually a third party that there's some specific information that they need to get and to use in collaborative.
So you're telling me that this is run by a mental health professional.
Right.
So how does a mental health professional help you to divide property?
Well, that's why you have the two lawyers.
Okay, so the two lawyers
Everybody
come
has their own
together,
role.
and they say, here's the property, and it's
Right.
just more of a cooperation.
It is. Now, there is an area called cooperative law that's a little different.
Okay.
But collaborative is a very formal process.
Okay.
And for instance, no one is surprised at a collaborative law meeting because everybody agrees on the agenda ahead of time.
Okay.
So there are no surprises. Surprises in collaborative are a big no-no.
Oh.
So yeah, so we don't surprise anybody, and we just work through the issues.
Well, okay. Now, so basically what you're telling me is that that's where everything's heading.
I don't know if that's where everything's heading. I think for some people it is a great solution.
Okay.
Every case is not appropriate for collaborative law. When we first started doing this 10, 15 plus years ago, we had high hopes that every case could be resolved collaboratively. And from my experience, some cases simply are not appropriate. If there is a huge disparity in bargaining position between the parties, you have to be careful with collaborative. If one of the parties cannot negotiate,
right,
collaborative is not the process.
Like a personality disorder going on.
Those are the big ones I run into that blow up.
Okay.
If there was an undiagnosed personality disorder
right.
that no one knew about,
right.
It sometimes comes out in the collaborative process, and that can really submarine the whole.
But like a narcissist or.
Well, you know what? I can deal with those because I think most attorneys are probably wired that way a little bit.
Okay.
But
Love it.
But you have histrionic, you have
yes.
borderlines.
Yes.
Bipolar.
Bipolar.
Yeah. Borderlines and collaborative process are extremely difficult.
Really?
Yes.
Because they're very unstable and you just can't do it.
I have a very long list of why it doesn't work.
That is so interesting to me. That fascinates me. Okay. So can someone, we already asked that question. If anyone ever has a question for us, we're at 214-787-1190. One of our listeners asked the question of, is there anything they can do to prepare prior to divorce?
Yeah, here, I don't want to punt this, but the question is a very wide open question because it depends upon what the assets you're trying to protect are.
Right.
There are things that you can do beforehand in order to ease the process and allow some protection. But the best thing for the listener to do is just to contact a competent family law attorney,
right.
and sit down with them and tell them the assets they want to protect and what they mean by protecting.
Okay. Well, first, real quick, what is your phone number and how can people get in touch with you?
If you want to get in touch with me, my number is 214-473-8686. That's 214-473-8686. And even though all I do is family law, I have got other lawyers there. We practice in almost any area other than criminal or personal injury, or in some areas of tax. But I have real estate partners. I have partners that do estate planning. I have civil litigation partners. So we're a pretty broad-based firm.
That is awesome. And I highly recommend Kyle Basinger for all of your legal needs. Yes, definitely call him up. And So if you have a house, and you're about to go through a divorce, what if you're like fighting? Who gets to choose the realtor?
Okay, here's there are a number of options that you've got. You have, if the parties simply cannot come up with an agreement on who's going to be the realtor.
Okay.
One of the things I've done is, assuming both parties have an attorney.
Right.
I will say, all right, this is the realtor we would like.
Right.
And then I will submit it to the other party. Can you agree to this realtor? If they say no, then I'll say, all right, you give me a realtor, and I'll see if I can agree to that realtor. If I can't agree to that realtor, then a lot of times what we'll do is we'll say, all right, let the two realtors talk, and they pick a third realtor. And it gets to be a really fun game because let's say that you don't really want the realtor you're giving them, and you don't want to agree on the other one. You can then maybe eventually get to the realtor you really do want.
Slick. That is totally slick. I love it.
It gets to be fun.
It's like don't put me in the bear patch or
That's
whatever.
That's right.
That's psychology. That's awesome. Well, yeah, and so do you have realtors that you work with?
I do. And something else that can happen is if that other mechanism doesn't work, you can simply ask the judge, and the judge will normally take a list of the realtors provided by the parties, and the judge can choose the one they're going to use.
That's interesting. And then what about the little things like how much the house is going to be sold for and when it will go on the market and will it be staged and all of those questions?
And that's really an issue that is argued about quite a bit. And that is especially the price.
Right.
Because one of the parties always thinks the house is worth much more than the other.
Welcome to my life.
Absolutely.
It's true.
Don't they typically get an appraisal in that situation to kind of help?
Well, there's a couple ways they can do it. They can just simply go to someone like you,
right,
and say, all right, what is the market? What do you believe is going to be the market value of the house? What can we sell it for?
Right.
Or you can simply go through an appraisal process, which is not particularly an expensive process, and they will give you even a more accurate number of what they believe the house is worth.
Well, this is an interesting conversation. We've got to go to break right now, and we are coming back to talk more with our guests.
Well, there's a black man with a black cat living in a black neighborhood. He's got an interstate running.
The Russ Martin Show.
You don't know whose ass been rubbing all over this refrigerator? No, you don't. This icebox could have all kinds of diseases. Ripped out a Sub-Zero once, had chlamydia.
Tomorrow morning, 7 to 11. Talk Radio, 1190.
I had memory foams, I had feather pillows, and I'd always wake up with neck pain. After sleeping on my pillow, I didn't wake up with the headaches. I was more aligned.
I didn't realize the connection between the pillow and sleep. When I switched to my pillow, I got a better night's sleep, and I love it.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it holds that support all night long to take the pressure off your shoulders and keep your neck aligned so you get the best night's sleep of your life.
MyPillow is the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. MyPillow is machine washable and dryable and comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee and an amazing 10-year warranty. Plus, every MyPillow is made in the USA.
I personally guarantee that MyPillow will be the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own. Go to MyPillow.com or call now to order one of my pillows. When you do, I'll give you a second one absolutely free.
Call 1-800-480-1941 and use the promo code IHEART.
Pay fast with the MasterPass. Don't buy it. MasterPass it. Pay fast with the MasterPass. Simple and easy. Pay fast with the MasterPass. Don't buy it. MasterPass it. Pay fast with the MasterPass. Secure and so easy.
MasterPass, the simple, secure way to pay from MasterCard. Accepted at select merchants.
Don't buy it. MasterPass it.
The talent of our youth today is undeniable. But how do they take those talents to the next level? Grow a fan base, book a concert, launch a career. Bringing Down the House is an emerging artist incubator that connects young artists to music industry insiders to build self-confidence, develop new skills, and bring crowds to their feet. Talented teens participate in a series of music industry workshops to learn about music marketing, stage presence, the business of music, and live production. After the workshops, the young artists promote and perform a free live music showcase on a legendary stage. We are looking for local teen artists and bands in the Dallas area to participate in this free program. Entering is easy. All you need is a song, a photo, and complete the online application. Applications are accepted until January 22nd. Visit hobmusicforward.org to learn more about the program and to apply.
Welcome back to the Jenna Ryan Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We're so glad to have you listening today. We are live on Facebook Live at Jenna.Ryan1. And I'm here today with my very special guest, Kyle Basinger of Basinger Leggett. He is a family law attorney, and we're talking about family law real estate. And also Angela Deaton, who is an expert on mortgages in these situations, in divorce-type situations. And our next topic is going to be about alimony. Now, Kyle, I've heard that Texas is not an alimony state. Is this true?
Well, Jenna, I hear that quite a bit. And to a certain extent, Texas has always been an alimony state in that contractual alimony has always been allowed. And what contractual alimony is an agreement between the parties where one party agrees to pay the other party a certain amount of money post-divorce.
Okay.
Now, that has always been around. Now, what I think that the listener was talking about is the issue of spousal maintenance. Spousal maintenance is relatively new in the state of Texas. And what spousal maintenance is from Chapter 8 of the Texas Family Code that allows, under certain conditions, a court-ordered alimony or court-ordered maintenance after the divorce. So the two are different. One was a contractual obligation, and the other one is a court-imposed obligation.
Interesting.
And now, the general conditions on spousal maintenance to get spousal maintenance are that you need to be married for 10 years.
Okay.
In order to be able to get spousal maintenance. Now, there are exceptions to that rule, such as if a person's been convicted of family violence, could be an exception, or if the parties have a child that requires special needs.
So if they abuse their spouse, then they will be responsible for spousal maintenance.
They can be. It is still not automatic, but the court can look past the 10 years if they've been convicted of spousal violence, of some violence against the spouse.
Now, can you use this money, Miss Angela? Can we use this money to buy a house?
You know what? That is something that we run into quite a bit, and I always feel so sorry for. In most situations, it ends up being, maybe the mom who stayed home, not worked for years, and she is awarded child support and or alimony, spousal maintenance, whatever the case may be. And so, she'll come to me and say, okay, I'm ready. Divorce is almost final. I'm ready. I want to go buy a house. I'm going to get $5,000 a month. So here's what I can afford.
Right.
But the problem with that is you have to show a history of receipt of that money.
Okay.
Before you can use it. So 6 to 12 months, depending on the loan program. Some require the full 12, some will go 6.
Right.
But you have to have received it the same amount each month for at least 6 months before you can use it as income. Another thing I see a lot.
6 months.
6 months. Another thing I see a lot is couples who their alimony or child support does not go through the Office of the Attorney General. They just pay each other. Then they'll do things like, I owed you $100 for, my kid's soccer uniform last week. So instead of child support of $1,500, which is what I'm supposed to get, I'm going to make it $1,400 this month because you owe me. Well, when you get to an underwriting perspective, that causes a problem because if you have varying amounts each month that don't match the divorce decree, then we have a problem being able to use what's in the divorce decree.
Okay. So you need to stay really by the book when it comes to receiving your child support or spousal maintenance payments.
Exactly.
Okay. Very interesting. Thank you for that.
There are very good reasons that parties might want to agree to at least contractual alimony. And one of those reasons is if you have one party that is a higher income earner
right.
than the other, what spousal maintenance or contractual alimony will allow you to do is to be able to deduct, the person who's paying can deduct that from their income taxes.
Okay.
And it becomes income to the other party. So it's a way of transferring money from the higher earning spouse or former spouse to the lesser earning spouse. And so there's some very good reasons for doing it. One of the things that we discussed earlier in the program was, what about if the spouse can't afford the house?
Yeah.
This is one way of making it so a spouse can afford that. A former spouse can afford the house. The other spouse helps out by paying contractual alimony and can deduct it.
Okay, what if the spouse who's paying contractual alimony loses their job or loses
Very
financially?
good question.
What happens?
And here is where there's a big difference between contractual alimony and spousal maintenance.
Okay.
Contractual alimony cannot be changed.
Okay.
It is a contract. It's just like any other contract. Now, I guess if the two parties agree to do it, but it can't be forced on one of the other parties.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if you earn twice as much or earn one half as much. If there's contractual alimony obligation, it's to continue until the end of the term. Spousal maintenance, however, can be varied.
Huh.
And a party can go back, right, as can child support. You can go back to court and ask the court to vary it based upon maybe if the person lost their job.
Okay, so spousal maintenance
right.
is contractual.
No, spousal maintenance is a court-imposed obligation. Contractual alimony is by contract.
Okay, very interesting. Okay.
And if you want to know, it's up to 20% of a person's gross earnings for spousal maintenance. It's up to 5 years if you've been married from 10 to 20. Mm-hmm. It's up to 7 years if you've been married from 10 to 20. 20 to 30 is 7 years. If it's over 30, it can be up to 10 years.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
And that's up to.
Go ahead. One thing I wanted to jump in real quick on the alimony and child support, also in qualifying income, is you have to be have to be able to show that you are going to continue to receive it for the next 3 years in order to use it. So if you have teenagers, let's say you have a 13 and a 15-year-old, or actually 14 and 16-year-old, and you want to use that income as qualifying income to buy a house,
right.
You would not be able to use the 16-year-old's portion of it. So you have to look at it, and it has to be able to, you have to show it's going to continue for at least 3 years, or you can't use it.
Can I ask questions too?
Yeah,
please do.
Will the underwriter count if there's temporary spousal support? Will the underwriter count the temporary spousal support?
Yes. So if there are temporary orders, and let's say as they were going through the divorce, there were temporary orders that the ex had to pay the other person, say $5,000 a month during the proceedings, as they were going through the divorce. And then the child support ends up being, $5,000. We can actually use that as a history of receipt. The problem is, a lot of times the temporary orders are not the same. The amount they receive during temporary orders aren't the same as what they end up with.
Okay, very interesting. Wow, you guys, this is a lot of information. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's like we're getting free attorney time, without having to pay for it. I love it.
What a deal, right?
Yeah, what a deal. Thank you for coming in on this freezing cold Sunday. And usually you'd be in church this morning. And
I would be. Yeah, I'm normally teaching a class at this time.
Yeah, so that means a lot, and I appreciate that. Is there a way to split the equity in a home that a divorced couple without selling the home? Is there a way to split the equity without selling it?
I guess we both probably have an answer to this. One thing I've seen, and I'm sure he can probably give more information, Kyle can, than I can, is OLTI liens. I know we have used those, where you refinance, there's an OLTI lien, and that money, it keeps it from being a Texas cash out, but the other person who has equity can receive the amount that's in that lien at the closing of the refinance. So that would keep them from having to sell, but the person could still get their equity out. Another would be to do, a Texas cash out. A lot of people just they want to try and avoid that.
What is that?
So a Texas cash out is if you have more than 20% equity in your home, you can take out cash up to the 20%. Texas does not let you take out more than, you have to have 20% left in the home.
Oh.
A lot of states will, unfortunately let you take everything, and that's what happened in California and Vegas and all that back in
Right.
2009 when people were upside down in their homes because the values dropped and they had taken all their equity out. So but yeah, so do you have any more information on OLT liens than I do?
No, I was going to go ahead and mention the OLT lien, and you just can't forget that an OLT lien actually does create a lien on the property.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And OLT liens are not for all types of real estate. They're for homesteads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So if there's a community interest in a homestead, and one of the parties, they don't want to sell it,
right?
They can get an OLT lien against the property. And what it can be is that the party that is going to stay in the house and continue owning the house can pay out that amount, a certain amount out of on a monthly basis to the other spouse.
Wow. Thank you so much. You guys have been so informative today. I learned a ton, and I hope my audience did too. I really appreciate everyone listening. We've got some great shows coming up in the next couple of months. We're going to be talking next week about baby boomers and seniors and all the things that go, because there's lots
I may have to listen in there.
You better listen every week. And you can always go and watch live on, if you're not able to listen during this time, then you can always watch live on my Facebook at Jenna.Ryan1. And we will replay it on there, and definitely call in. But we've got some really good shows coming up. And then the next week after that, we're having Ivy Boland, broker with Remax, my brokerage where I work. We're going to talk about pricing your home to sell, and we're having Daryl Morris on, who's an appraiser. So we're going to learn lots more about real estate. I appreciate you guys for listening, and I appreciate you guys for being here on this cold day.
Well, thanks for having us. We really enjoyed it.
Join us again next time on Talk Radio 1190 AM for the Jenna Ryan Show.